Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Sorry.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody knows
smart?
The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.
The convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has been dead for over 6 years, but he remains in the headlines, and it seems more and more information continues to come out about him. Well, now he's back in the news again because another large batch of files and depositions have been released and circulated widely.
Did you ever give a massage to anyone other than Mr. Epstein? At any of Mr. Epstein's properties?
First of all, I never said I gave Mr. Epstein a massage.
I'll ask that question if you want, but I was focusing on people other than Mr. Epstein right now.
I didn't give massages.
So if you're wondering what exactly was in those files and whose names appeared in them, we're going to run through that together here on In Summary. What makes this particular release different from previous ones is it includes previously sealed documents and witness statements. There were also references to emails and internal communications linked to the Virginia Giuffre defamation case against Ghislaine Maxwell. So we're no longer dealing with rumours or leaks. These are sworn testimonies that have been locked away by the courts for years. So when they were opened, we were all expecting bombshells. So whilst there wasn't a single shocking list, it did give us a sense of how Epstein operated and who moved in his world. One of the most shocking details was how often high-profile figures came up in sworn questioning. They weren't just acquaintances, but people Epstein actively tried to impress, name drop, or include in his social orbit. The documents showed repeated testimony that Epstein would often boast about his relationship with presidents, royals, and billionaires, and he would go to the extent of sometimes exaggerating their closeness. Witnesses described him as someone who built power by proximity, collecting famous people like social currency. Bill Clinton's name appeared again, but this time with more detailed questioning into his interactions and trips. One deposition described how Giuffre had said she had never had sexual contact with Clinton and had never witnessed him have sexual activity with a minor. That specific denial became important because it directly contradicted widespread online speculation. However, flight logs and testimony confirmed Clinton flew on Epstein's plane multiple times, visited some associated locations from Foundation-related travel. The new detail wasn't that he knew, that was known, but that sworn testimony clarified what at least one accuser said did not happen.
Okay, so Darren and I are sitting here. You can hear the echo. I'm pretending I'm talking to Darren. So, hi Darren. Are you guys having a good time? You can see I have a little sore on my face that I got from some black guy trying to kiss me. It's really disgusting.
With his tongue.
Oh, it's really, Anyway, I have pictures up on the wall. I had to borrow the Scotch tape to get the pictures on the wall.
References to Prince Andrew, however, were more poignant. Newly unsealed testimony included conversations and encounters around how Giuffre said she was introduced to him. There were additional supporting recollections from staff and associates, placing Andrew at certain Epstein-connected locations. And while much of this was known, the new transcripts showed the exact wording used under oath. It showed how lawyers pressed witnesses on dates, clothing, and room layouts. So it didn't create a new accusation around Andrew, it supported and strengthened the one that already exists.
He asked me to dance. He is the most hideous dancer I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was horrible, and this guy was sweating all over me. Like, his sweat was like, it was raining basically everywhere, and I was just like, what?
Another detail that was revealed in the files was about massages and how they were arranged. Multiple depositions described a structured system in which women were scheduled to get massages. Their travel and accommodation was often handled internally. Staff testimony referenced appointment books, coded notes, and instructions passed between house managers. Some witnesses described how Epstein preferred certain routines, time of day, room setup, music, and how assistants helped coordinate logistics. This added operational detail to something previously described more generally. There were also more specific details about recruitment patterns. Testimonies described how some girls were recruited through friend networks with referrals encouraged. One witness described being told she could earn more money by bringing friends. Another described being instructed on what to say when contacting new recruits. The unsealed emails and messages added another layer. Some messages showed Maxwell and Epstein coordinating travel and guest arrangements. The language was surprisingly casual, given what was later alleged about the environment. In a few exchanges, Maxwell discussed scheduling visitors and confirming guests with staff. It stood in stark contrast to the serious accusations that surrounded the properties, which is partly why those emails drew attention. One striking detail that resurfaced was testimony about Epstein's New York townhouse and the level of monitoring inside it. Depositions referenced cameras, security systems, and controlled access between floors. A staff witness described how certain areas required permission to enter and how some rooms were kept locked. It confirmed rumours that Epstein maintained tight internal control over movement within his properties. The files also included more detailed descriptions of Epstein's private island operations. Witnesses described flight arrival procedures, guest handling, and staff roles. There were references to prepared guest rooms, rotating staff assignments, and instructions on discretion. Some testimonies mentioned that visitors were told that phones couldn't be used in certain areas. Again, none of this proves that any crime was committed by specific people, but it does paint a clearer operational picture. Another area that was notable in the files was how lawyers questioned inconsistencies between witnesses.
This is me. This was me. This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
In some cases, witnesses corrected earlier statements, and in others, they said they couldn't recall events that took place. There were also specifics around well-known attorney Alan Dershowitz, who was accused by Giuffre of abuse and has repeatedly denied it. The newly unsealed documents reveal more of the back-and-forth legal battle over her credibility and his denial. It includes internal communications and denials that were sworn under oath. The documents reveal how Epstein inserted himself into political and intelligence-adjacent conversations. Some testimonies referenced he had claimed he was connected to intelligence agencies, but it turns out he made that up. Witnesses often said they couldn't verify if those claims were true. Epstein often made claims he had those connections to enhance his prestige. Another specific detail that emerged was how settlements were discussed. It referenced negotiations with accusers, including confidentiality agreements and payment structures. It gave clarity on why certain civil cases were closed early and why the records remained sealed for years. Names like Michael Jackson and David Copperfield were also mentioned in the documents, but they were, however, social interactions and weren't allegations of wrongdoing. Another detail that emerged was how frequently witnesses described Epstein recording information. Phone numbers, preferences, and contacts. He maintained an extensive directory, and that's why even years after his death, every batch of information still matters. For more summaries like this one, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next.